There exist 8.7 million species on our planet currently. Like everything else, all lives must have a starting point, but where exactly is the starting point? It is hard to convince everybody that God created everything. So a more scientific and logical approach might be useful in explaining this. Origin of life has always been an interesting topic among scientists. Scientists have done research and proposed many theories on origin of life. Among these theories, one theory, RNA world theory, is thought to be the most possible and most promising theory. As a biochemistry major, many classes that I've been in require me to do research on this topic. After reading many online journals, I find this theory particularly interesting because it is fascinating to think how a simple molecule is responsible for all the complex life forms on Earth right now. In this speech, I'll be introducing this theory by going through its background, the significance of the RNA molecule, as well as how the process created life. To begin with the background, I will introduce the central dogma of biology, as well as the first person who opened the door for scientists to hypothesize this theory. The central dogma of biology was first proposed by Frederick Crick in 1958. According to Crick's theory, the central dogma can be explained as DNA makes RNA and RNA makes protein. Here is a picture of the central dogma. As you can see, this is the DNA, this is the RNA, and this is the protein. According to a Khan Academy article, among these molecules, DNA is thought to be the genetic information storage, and protein is thought to be the molecule that's responsible for catalyzing reactions that's essential for all lives. The central dogma theory was extremely popular among scientists, and because of that, mRNA was thought to be nothing more than a messenger for a long time. However, in 1962, a scientist named Alex Ridge proposed his idea, which opened a new door for scientists. According to Ridge's original paper with his students, at the origin of life, all the functions that would normally be carried out by DNAs and proteins, which are genetic formation, storage, and catalyzing reactions, were all carried out by RNAs. This gave scientists new insights on how lives might have started, and RNA world theory was then proposed. After hearing the background of the theory, one might ask, why is RNA chosen over DNA or proteins? To try to answer that, I'll be going through the importance of RNA molecules and some of its properties. Here are some reasons why RNA was chosen over DNA or protein at the origin of life. RNA has the advantage over DNAs. According to a ThoughtCo article, RNA has simpler structure and is needed for RNA to function. Another advantage that it has over DNA is that RNA can catalyze reactions, which DNA is incapable of. This was first discovered by Thomas Cech in his 1982 paper. Secondly, RNA has an advantage over proteins. Proteins will need genetic information through the process of translation transcription to make more proteins, whereas RNA can also store genetic information, as seen in the central dogma. These properties of RNA rendered RNA great significance and importance at the origin of life. These properties also explain why it was chosen over DNA or proteins. Now that we've established these, let us focus on the actual process that started life billions of years ago. Everything started in an environment called the primordial soup. Here is a Campbell creamy tomato soup that I will use to represent the primordial soup. According to Lascano's journal article, the primordial soup is an environment with free-floating nucleotides, which is the precursor of RNA molecules, in it. Miller-Urey's experiment also proved that organic molecules can come from inorganic molecules. The nucleotides in the soup are the precursor, as mentioned above, and these nucleotides will bump into each other by chance, like this. And they will randomly form bonds with each other. Some of the bonds are weak, so they will break, like this. And some of them are strong, so they will remain, like this pen. In the beginning, the chains break faster than they would form. However, there are some chains that are more stable than the others, so they will attract more matching nucleotides and grow faster. Finally, the rate of forming would outpace the rate of breaking, resulting in RNA formation. These RNA chains were encapsulated and gave rise to the first protocell, which is thought to be the most primitive form of life. There is a picture representing how the process actually worked. This theory was hypothesized using Central Dogma and Alex Rich's theory as the basis. These properties and importance of RNA rendered its role at the origin of life. Life started in the primordial soup thanks to the effort of RNA molecules. These are the background, the importance of RNA, and how the process started life. That is the theory on how 8.7 million species on our planet might have started. Now allow me to use the primordial soup and these nucleotides to make myself some dinner so my life can start again. Thank you for listening.